It's time for the nightcap in match week 11 of MLS Next Pro action, and we bring it to you from the Pacific Northwest. A massive six-pointer and a Western Conference semifinal rematch debut between Tacoma Defiance and North Texas SC. We say hello and welcome from Starfire Stadium. Sam Goldfarb here, excited to bring you all of the action tonight in a clash between sides jockeying for top 6 spots in the Western Conference. A North Texas team that has hit its groove of late. 3 straight wins after a slow start. A Tacoma side struggling with 3 straight defeats in all comps. A massive clash here in the Western Conference. It's now time for our starting 11, starting with Tacoma. Hervé Diesse making 7 changes from the 2-1 defeat against Portland Timbers 2, and the biggest return of note for Tacoma fans is the big man up front, Osaze De Rosario, joint top goal scorer in MLS Next Pro, returning after a 2-match absence. Now a newly minted first-teamer, and then towards the back, when you look between the sticks, Jacob Castro returning, making a 5th start in Next Pro action, a first in the month of May. That is Hervé Diesse's 11, a very strong lineup. As well, Danny Leyva also enters as the defensive mid, another first-teamer. So they are full strength, trotting out, trying to earn a victory today. On the other side, less changes for John Gall. He makes 1 change to be precise. It is notable, though, Tarek Scott not in the squad. He's replaced by Jaden Contreras on the left flank. This is still a very dangerous North Texas side, though. Sam Sarver, of course, the captain, the leading scorer with 5 goals. It's still waiting that first goal involvement for Fasu Sangare. We'll see if he can provide it here tonight. A massive clash between a pair of sides hoping to surge into the catbird seat in the Western Conference. North Texas, with the right result tonight, can go level on points atop the Western Conference. Meanwhile, Tacoma Defiance, depending on results elsewhere, could climb right towards the top 3 with a result at home tonight. Well, we are just about set for kickoff here at Starfire, a place that has produced considerable magic, especially this season in cup competition. Hoping to transfer it now to league play, with that being their sole focus for the remainder of the campaign. It is a Tacoma squad that has hit a bit of a lull of late. We've mentioned 3 straight defeats in all competitions. Outscored 7-1 over the last 2 fixtures. Hervé Diesse mentioning he was pleased with the response last week against Portland, but felt there was a bit too much desperation in their attempt to claw back. Too many premature shots lashed out when they ventured into the penalty area. He wants more patience and composure today against the North Texas side that flashed all of that last weekend in its Texas Derby victory over Dynamo Dos, responding brilliantly after being pegged back 16 minutes from time with an 88th minute Diego Garcia winner. John Gall very pleased with his side's efforts. A squad that has rectified some of its early season defensive woes and returned to juggernaut status in the Western Conference. Well, it is Tacoma. It's dark gray with the numerous accents on the black shorts going from left to right on your screen. Meanwhile, North Texas in their usual white kits, they will be going from right to left. Our officiating crew led by Justin St. Pierre. His assistants, Hunter Zakwieja, Andrew Hanks, and his 4th official, Yannick Rothfuss, round out our officiating crew tonight. Well, for those joining us on the East Coast, we welcome you to MLS Next Pro After Dark. For those on the West Coast, 7 p.m. local time kickoff. Decent night in Tukwila, Washington, 64 degrees with 49% humidity at time of kick. And we are underway. North Texas and Tacoma locking horns for the first time this year. A playoff rivalry renewed here at Starfire. Sam Goldfarb bringing you all of the action. We thank you for joining us here this evening. As we mentioned, a Tacoma squad that hit the ground running in league play, has spent a good chunk of the season comfortably in the top 5 of the Western Conference, especially of late, but a pair of more disappointing results have seen separation established between the pace setters and themselves, hoping to knife into that gap here this evening, as Anthony Ramirez is already dealing with an early ailment for North Texas. He, of course, one of the creative talisman for this NTSC side. He'll receive early medical attention here. Oh, back underway as Cisse resumes play. It is so impressive to see the defending champs continue to churn out talent. A side that, of course, captured the Next Pro Cup title in thrilling fashion a year ago. And despite returning only 4 players from last year's title-winning side, they continue to build up a competitive squad. 4 players, of course, that made 10-plus starts. Sangare does not manage to keep this in play. Is Gaffney reintroduced to the 11 tonight. It is an overhauled back line for Tacoma. The center back pairing of Yamada and Hawkins has remained consistent, but the fullbacks and goalkeeping spots have rotated with regularity all season long, and after conceding 7 in its last 2 matches, you can't fault Hervé Diesse for going to the well and looking to bring new blood back into the side. As mentioned, that's been the primary point of emphasis, a side that still lacks a clean sheet. De Rosario, the league's joint top scorer for Tacoma. Yamada strolling forward. A scintillating switch of the play. And Sousa running out of real estate, but it does go out for the match's first corner. Will be the first teamer, Danny Leyva, to take someone who's been a regular in the Sounders squad since becoming the youngest homegrown signing in club history back in 2019. With in swing. Toward the back post. Yamada got a touch to it. And De Rosario overzealous with his tackle. You can expect this affair to be a very enticing one. Of course, last year the teams meeting twice, North Texas prevailing in both of the contests. It was a 4-1 victory for the eventual champions over Tacoma at Choctaw Stadium in the Western Conference semifinals. It doesn't tell the full story. Tacoma opened the scoring just 18 minutes in, and then they were caught by a second-half barrage. Were leveled up before the break and then unlocked 3 times in the remaining 45. There's De Rosario. Terrific link up. As far as Yamada. When talking to Hervé Diesse, though, not too much focus on last year's playoff defeat. He says, each week our primary focus, regardless of who we play, is us and how we can fine-tune our style, course, it is a very distinct style of play with Tacoma, one that largely overruns teams. Just making added tweaks to ensure they're playing at optimal capacity is the primary point of emphasis in each week of training. Carly. Sousa. One of a number of first-teamers in the squad tonight. And Hawkins, the 18-year-olds, lost that out of play. Well, if you are just joining us, we welcome you into Starfire Stadium. Seats just around 4,500. And a venue that is very multi-purpose at that. The host of a Major League Rugby team, also, of course, hosting U.S. Open Cup matches for both the Sounders as well as now Tacoma Defiance. And what a magical run it was for the latter side this year. They sprint to the round of 32. It's a terrific day for some late May footy here in MLS Next Pro. Here's the first touch of the day by Castro. Another first-teamer, 25 years of age, someone who's made double-digit starts each of the last 2 Next Pro campaigns. Very experienced, of course, their primary playoff goalkeeper last year for Defiance. A lovely distribution. De Rosario's in! An excellent stop by Montoya. Denies the league's joint top scorer with considerable aplomb at that. Well, this is just sensational. Sousa threading it through. De Rosario would have fancied himself to round the keeper, but a heavy touch took it right into Montoya's path. And in his second start of the season, passes his first glaring test. Torquato. And this is Contreras, Eric Scott's replacement in the 11 today. Daphne will lose out. You can expect this to be a real battle between the lines. We mentioned Tacoma's tendency to overwhelm teams. In fact, they had over 70% of the ball in that victory over defeat, I should say, at Portland Timbers 2 last week. One that really frustrated Hervé Diasse and his squad, despite battling back with a sensational Tsukanome bicycle kick after just 13 minutes, conceding one of the goals of the week in match week 10 just before halftime and failing to break down their hosts for the remainder of the 45. But on the other side of things, John Gall has placed extensive focus on trying to possess the ball and control matches themselves. I was very pleased with the way they did so a week ago in the Texas Derby. Said in many ways, the best defense can sometimes be your control of the ball. De Rosario, plenty of space, low driver. Montoya saw it late and got just enough of a touch on it. The screws continue to be twisted by Tacoma, and De Rosario at the focal point of everything. Probably would have been hoping for a bit more venom in that effort. Sousa. As far as Leyva. Gaffney, terrific interplay and plenty of options. Flashing ball in. Cisse does just enough to bat it away. Another corner on the way for Defiance. with outswing this time. After 10 minutes, you're seeing a familiar match script play out. Tacoma pinning North Texas deep in its own half. Gaffney, and now a lovely layoff to Carly. It's brought down in the area. Well, it is yet another set piece for the hosts. Already a fourth of the evening for Tacoma. And Leyva slowly getting target practice. Sousa. Lovely flick back. I tell you what, Defiance and company getting a chance to work on every set piece routine in the book at this rate. Here's Leyva again. First teamer getting minutes with the Next Pro outfit for the first time this year. And Brunel, the captain, bundled over. This time a free kick, and a rather appetizing one. Would be rather far to attempt from here. Get the sense that one of the many towering bodies in the box will be the target for Tacoma. It is Leyva and Travian Sousa, a pair of first teamers in the immediate vicinity here. Leyva delivers a low ball, actually opted for goal and was not far off. Well, fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by your locally owned and operated McDonald's. Download the McDonald's app today, and when the Sounders win, you will win a free McChicken the following day with a minimum $2 purchase, only in the app. We're approaching the quarter of an hour mark here from Starfire Stadium in Tukwila, Washington, just outside Tacoma. No score between Defiance and North Texas, the reigning champions of MLS Next Pro. But it is largely one-way traffic to open proceedings tonight. Tacoma pressing the issue as many neutrals would have expected, a side that is the more desperate of the two entities for a victory tonight. Gaffney. Hardly anyone there to greet it, and runs all the way through to Sebastian Gomez. The many Sounders Academy products in the 11 this evening. And Sarver will snatch it back. Still a chance for North Texas to alleviate some pressure. You've spoken so much about the rocky Tacoma rut, and a large part of it has coincided with Osaze de Rosario's first team signing. And of course, with this being a developmental league, that was a proud moment both for the Tacoma staff and the club in general. But in many ways, they've seemingly struggled to adapt without him leading the line. Had Tsukanome starting up front the last couple matches, and Defiance saying he felt there was a slight disconnect. Tsukanome making a number of really clever runs in behind, and his teammates either not seeing them or seeing them late. Feels that when Tsukanome is at the 10, he can really pull the strings and influence a match, especially when partnered with his fellow 8-goal output provider in De Rosario. And we return to the status quo tonight. On the other side for North Texas, John Gall has mentioned a decrease in a lot of individual errors that led them to just win 2 of their opening 7 matches. Since a lot of those have been cleaned up the last 3 games, and Only conceded once in the last 3. That's a vast improvement on your defensive record. Tsukanome spraying this to Sousa. And a high ball in. He's looking for the oncoming Carly. And falls for Gaffney, the UPenn product. Carly hunting Tsukanome, and Tacoma forced to settle for just a throw. You see the vision, though, knocking it about with superior confidence and swagger. Somehow that does not roll out of play until Gaffney got the final touch. We get your glance at Nico Montoya. We spotlighted him moments ago, of course, already weathering the early storm and denying De Rosario from point-blank range. Native of Colombia, who's developed through the FC Dallas Academy. Made his first start of the year in the Texas Derby. And John Galsing felt he was rather composed in that. A goal allowed and a save to his name. As the referee will pull back this action for the earlier challenge on Sousa and book a North Texas player for the first time tonight. It is Ian Charles, the 18-year-old right back in the book, the first on either side on the referee's caution list. You see Sousa bypass Sarver here. It's a textbook challenge. Clear message sent from our lead official in Justin St. Pierre. Leyva continuing to get his set piece reps in. His delivery lacked accuracy. Comes out to the center back Hawkins, though. Bruno ran. Really lost possession of it. What's interesting, the dichotomy between North Texas's first month and now where they find themselves. Of course, this is a North Texas squad that dropped 2 of its opening 4 matches. Their only victory coming the 3-2 triumph over Whitecaps 2 in that first month. They were frankly struggling, a side that was outscored rather dramatically in that opening 4 games. They scored 13-7 to be precise. Here's Sarver, through on goal, and it deflects in. A 6th of the year for Sam Sarver, and North Texas strikes against the grain. Well, how about that? The captain providing a major spark on the counter. He just tucks in between fullback and center back and has Castro in no man's land. Trickles off his glove and in. And there is that man making an impact once again. Scored the penalty kick opener a week ago. Finds the back of the net for the 2nd consecutive Sunday. Sarver, who entered top 10 in MLS Next Pro in goals. It is a 6th of the season for the Chesterland, Ohio native, and what a rookie year he is enjoying. A former 2nd-round draft pick in the 2025 MLS Super Draft, and who was a goal-scoring machine during his 4 years at Indiana, and continuing that blazing hot form in the professional level. So 1-0 advantage for North Texas, a side that has struggled to play out of its own half, but it has the early breakthrough. What a college career Sarver enjoyed. Became the first Hoosier in the 21st century to log over 70 career points. a two-time All-American, reached the national title game as well in 2022. And as we mentioned, has not slowed down. He is the top attacking threat for North Texas this year and adds to an already vast resume of goal scoring to begin his professional pursuits. North Texas 1, Tacoma 0. Well, the mettle of Tacoma will surely be tested now. Hervé Diesse mentioning that after the 5-0 Whitecaps 2 defeat earlier this month, he noticed real anxiety for a response. Sousa tripped over his own feet. He said that was reflected in their performance against Portland. Found the leveler, but in the second half, rushed it far too much, especially after falling behind just shy of halftime. Sarver, the goal scored. Looking through to Ramirez. Yamada is there first. Essel. Now you see a bit more confidence surging through these North Texas players. There was Ariel. If anyone will make a difference, he'd be the man you tip to change it. Gaffney. Perhaps too nonchalantly played. Carly. Rosario chesting it. It falls perfectly for Sarver, who is in a bit of space. Runs all the way through. Contreras. And right into the oncoming defender in Brunel. Well, back and forth action here in the greater Tacoma area. In between a pair of sides that rank amongst the top 11 goal-scoring outfits in MLS NEXT Pro, you'd expect nothing less. Well, fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Providence Swedish, official healthcare partner of Seattle Sounders FC. Midway through the first half, Sam Goldfarb bringing you all of the action. A 1-0 advantage for North Texas over Tacoma Defiance. Sam Sarver, the captain, opening the scoring in the 19th minute. A 6th tally of the year for North Texas' star man. Here is the standout for Tacoma. Right now, you've seen so much promising interplay, especially on the flanks between a number of Tacoma talents, but lacking that final bit of cutting edge so far. Brunel looking through to Tsukanome, goes down in the box, falls for Carly. Appeals for penalty, waved away by our lead official with relative confidence at that. Much to the chagrin of the Tacoma faithful that pack Starfire. Progressive ball here towards Sarver. Goalkeeper off his line. Sarver down just on the edge of the area. Our official deems Sousa got ball before man. Will be an eyebrow-raising moment in the match, one that North Texas may come back to and feel hard done by. Sousa now. Leva. Running it forward. Crossed into Tsukanome. Still Tsukanome, and there is the leveler. Tsukanome is a man on fire, and he adds another tally to his repertoire. 1-1. This is just an excellent bit of individual skill. Tsukanome flashing it with a bicycle kick last week, and he just weaves through traffic and tucks it in the bottom right. A 9th of the year to pace everyone in MLS Next Pro for Tsukanome, and a 5th in the last 5 in all comps. Well, you see the magic he can create between the lines on full display. A 9th in league play, a 12th in all competitions. Tsukanome cannot be stopped. Can't argue it's undeserved by any means. The Tacoma side that has been on the front foot for the lion's share of this first half. And it takes a moment of individual brilliance to unlock the North Texas back four. What a rapid rise it's been for Tsukanome over the last 2 years. Someone who 2 years ago was playing in the NPSL, won the Golden Boot with Dakota Fusion FC, and that earned him a contract in the Next Pro ranks a season ago. Last season, a decent campaign, finished with 5 tallies, but he's been in another stratosphere here in 2025. And he is now MLS Next Pro's Golden Boot leader. Well, the chess match resumes. It was a lightning bolt moment for North Texas on the break. Sam Sarver, their standout, opening the scoring. Tsukanome responds in turn moments later. Just wondered, as this wears on, how John Gall will look to adjust things tactically. Of course, it's one thing to complete a smash and grab and go into halftime with a 1-0 lead, but when the hosts fire back and you know your possession and chances have been extremely limited through the opening half hour, you just wonder if there's an alteration in approach. You see the numbers on your screen. Tacoma with 6 times the number of shots, 2/3 of the possession after bossing 70% of the ball at Portland last week. The only scoreline that matters at the moment is the 1-1 affair on your screen. When talking to John Gall this week, he really mentioned the virtues of patience, especially in a match like this, but he mentioned it more from a possessional perspective, knowing how quick Tacoma can break when they win it back. Interesting to see how that theory applies when you're on the back foot for the lion's share of proceedings. Issues playing out for North Texas. Tsukanome snatching it right back. Shrugged off it by Sangare. A cheeky nutmeg as well. Sarver. Runs out of options on the far side. It's beginning to open up here at Starfire. Well, a half hour gone now. A 1-1 scoreline. Sarver opening proceedings in the 19th. Tsukanome firing back with a lovely bit of individual skill 7 minutes later. And it sets the stage for what should be a thrilling final hour of one of the headline contests in match week 11 of MLS Next Pro. Mentioned the stakes coming in. One side in the visitors winning 3 straight. Another in Tacoma that is just looking to reestablish a foothold. There's no sense of panic when you talk to Hervé Biasse. He knows his side will adapt, and well, they adapted to the early monkey wrench that was thrown in their plans. Leva sprang it wide to Sousa. Toward De Rosario. Couldn't quite contact it cleanly. And another ball for Leva. Quietly pulling the strings as that deep-lying midfielder. Excellent challenge from Alvaro. Well, fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Puyallup, tribe of Indians, a tribe known for being generous and welcoming to all people. Carly. Well, business end of this first half. Oh, even between Tacoma and North Texas. The hosts battling back from an early deficit. And the question is, can they seesaw themselves in front before intermission? It is a side that has played with renewed confidence and energy following back-to-back defeats, and the performances have improved drastically since that 5-0 throttling at the hands of Whitecaps 2 on May 14th. Hoping for some reflection, at least in the points column. A team that has rarely been defeated multiple matches in a row all year. Yamada. Clever ball to Gaffney, in plenty of space as well. Cross in, just misses the oncoming head of Carly. Matter of inches from finding that second Tacoma. Carly curling, wasn't far off. Well, they continue to twist the screws, and they get closer and closer with each foray forward. See Leva lay this off. Carly opening up his hips, trying to pick out that top left corner, and he doesn't miss it by very much. Would have been quite the moment of individual expertise. Well, for Tacoma, it is a side that has been consistently competitive since moving to MLS Next Pro ahead of the league's inaugural season. 3 straight playoff berths. Hervé Biasse continuing that legacy with a trip to the Western Conference semifinals. In the last 2 seasons in the playoffs, falling to the eventual champions in both of them. So there is considerable quality, but now it's about taking that next step. A Tacoma side that has never won a league championship in its decade-long history, more so than that at this stage. Playing in the USL and then MLS Next Pro. There's been signs of real promise. Led the league in goals a year ago. Tsukanome. Brunel. Surveying for options, and he picks out Gaffney. Carly. Looking towards the back post. And well, nobody there to meet it in De Rosario and Gomez. For North Texas, they're a side that, on the subject of championships, has gotten there twice before. Despite having much less of a history in terms of years played than their counterparts today. It's a North Texas team that won the inaugural USL League One title in 2019, and then, of course, last year, consistently competing atop the Western Conference, finishing 6 points clear. De Rosario clattering into Montoya, and the referee blows against the oncoming forward. As Montoya is slow to return to his feet. Montoya has enjoyed a decent spell so far tonight. Not much he could do about Tsukanome's opener. It was so expertly taken, of course, deleting Torquato and then just picking out the bottom right corner with relative confidence and comfort. But other than that, he's made himself big. Of course, denied De Rosario from close range within the first 7 minutes. He's already shown flashes of true promise. A goal allowed in that Texas Derby victory last week. Major measure of revenge for a North Texas side that fell 5-1 in the earlier meeting back in March. For a side that John Gall himself says is extremely confident in all of its goalkeeping options and feels all of them one day could feature prominently in the MLS. Another 18-year-old with considerable skill has joined the fold. No back underway. Montoya looks content to continue and welcome sight for all involved here. Brunel is looking for Tsukanome. Leiva's shirt was tugged. And the question now becomes, can Tacoma find that second before the break? It is a side that has pressed the issue all half. We've already mentioned the very strong response. But can they find reflection for their dominance on the score sheet? It is Leiva once again standing over this. Curling it towards the back post. Rather underwhelming delivery for the first teamer. Only as far as Sousa, though. Room to cross now. High arcing ball. Tsukanome got his head to it. Just nodded it wide. Well, it's, again, really strong interplay and build-up. Well-dinked cross. He does force Tsukanome to tuck back a little further than I'm sure he would have liked. That's what ultimately puts him off, but Tacoma continues to look the more likely of the two sides to threaten. De Rosario. Gaffney. Here's Contreras, a rare touch of the ball for him in this first half. Inside the final 5 minutes of this first half. It is a North Texas squad that has lost just once in its history to Tacoma Defiance, a 2-1-3 record. Both wins, of course, coming last year. Carley, Sounders Academy player. Brings Gaffney into the build-up once again. Leyva. Terrific switch. Overlap from Sousa now. Gomez will let it run out of play. Well, a pair of experienced presences in the coaching spots today. We've already mentioned Hervé DSA, someone who helped Tacoma produce the joint most goals in Next Pro in his first season, and during his time in the offseason, enjoyed a 1-month internship with Brentford under Thomas Frank, mentioning what a learning experience that was. Really spoke more to the logistical elements of being a manager of a football club rather than the tactical ones in terms of his big takeaways. As De Rosario sent tumbling just outside the area. And the referee will show the yellow to Alvaro. A very inviting spot as well. Foul occurring just outside the box.
Referee issued a yellow card. Visiting team, North Texas Soccer Club, number 22, Alvaro Awusu.
Alvaro is booked, as confirmed by our PA announcer. You see here, a loose pass. De Rosario skips beyond him. Not much he can do. Times the foul perfectly, because a second or two later, that's a point to the spot. This is a very difficult free kick angle. Right on the edge of the area, you have to get this up and down real fast. Otherwise, you have to play it into the corner of uncertainty. As Danny Leyva once again stands over it. Tries for goal and has a date with the wall instead. Gomez chasing after this. Charles handles that situation very well on a yellow card. Credit to North Texas. Despite being on the back foot, very few glaring chances of note conceded since the goal. Inside the final minute of the initial 45. All eyes on our fourth official in a matter of moments. As things stand, it is a very intriguing one entering halftime, and I don't think any action we see will change that from here on out. Sousa. Tsukanome, the goal scored tonight for Tacoma. Hearing word it will be 3 minutes of added time. So to come back to some of the injuries and goal scoring stoppages, we will have a hefty bit of additional action to play. Gaffney curling it towards De Rosario, narrowly missing him once again.
Fourth official signal.
Sousa down.
Of added time.
Our referee ignores any of his complaints. 3 minutes confirmed. You get the sense that there may not be any further plot twist before the break. Ramirez. Get the sense there's maybe some ring rust on those boots. He has hardly touched it in any positions of note tonight. He is the top creative force in many respects outside Sarver for North Texas. Still has yet to hit the gears he was able to reach in the Texas Derby a week ago, assisting that Diego Garcia winner. Underhits this. It's a late challenge on Alvaro, one that earns him Defiance's first booking. Yellow card out, presumably against the Sounders first teamer Danny Leyva, 22-year-old on his first Next Pro start of the season. Well, there is the yellow shown. You get another look. It's a poorly hit pass from Leyva, doesn't put enough on it. And he dives in, gets none of the ball and all of Alvaro's legs. So really no dispute, and that explains the lack of argument from number 75 in the dark gray.
To Defiance player number 75, Danny Leyva.
This is likely the final foray forward for North Texas in this first half. Chance for Diego Garcia to play one into a dangerous area. Garcia dinking it in. It's flicked along, and the offside flag was raised regardless. Beyond the 3 minutes of added time. And we still play on. And there is the halftime whistle. All square between Tacoma and North Texas in this massive Western Conference six-pointer. It was a rapid start for Tacoma, but caught on the counter by Sam Sarver in the 19th minute. They respond brilliantly through Tsukanome just 7 minutes later, and that is where we sit after a half of action. Tacoma on the front foot, but nothing to show for it beyond their equalizer through Tsukanome. Our score of the half is Tacoma 1, North Texas 1. First half highlights and a look at our upcoming schedule are later, but first, April Marie Aguilar made her way to the land of 1,000 Lakes to visit Minnesota United FC 2. She sat down with head coach Jeremy Hall in this week's Coach's Corner.
welcome to this episode of Coach's Corner. I'm April Marie Aguilar. Joining me today is Jeremy Hall, head coach of Minnesota United FC2. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. You've been with the club since its inaugural season in 2022. What does it feel like to you to have been with this organization since its inception? Yeah,
I've been very blessed, to be honest. I've gotten to work with some really good coaches here. I've learned a lot, and then to be able to step into a role as a head coach, I think just from a personal standpoint, I'm still learning and finding myself, and really grateful for the club to give me such a big role at the club. And so really excited to be here, going on year 4, and just looking to continuing the success that we've had so far.
And what ultimately inspired you to even want to become a coach?
Ooh, it's a good question. Just from playing, I've had some really good coaches, some really bad coaches, and I always just felt like, I just want to be able to mentor and be around the guys. You can only play for so long. I still feel like being on the field is the next best thing, and so being able to share some of those experiences, positive and negative, that I've learned, through other coaches, and just being involved in the game, I just felt like I would love to give back. And so I love my time on the field. I love being able to build relationships with the players. I love to help them get to where they ultimately want to be, and play at a high level. And so be able to help share those experiences and be on the field, it's been awesome. And you mentioned having played professionally, and you did 8 seasons in Major League Soccer. Given your experience as a player, aside from mentoring, what else do you find yourself now implementing into your coaching career? Just really being myself and just being real. A lot of coaches want to talk tactics, and I think that's a big part of the game, but for me, I talk more behaviors and being aggressive and playing with intensity, and for me, hating to lose. And so if you can show up every day and try and get better, I think at the end of the day, you give yourself a better chance to be successful, because at this level that we're at, there's a lot of good players, and for me, it's how do you separate yourself. And so I believe just like working hard, winning your individual duels. I like to say just like being a dog on the field. I think that can, really get you into that next level. And how do you feel like that gives you an advantage, even having been a player, to just become more or build stronger relationships with your players? Well, I think the relationship piece is soccer aside. It's getting to know these kids and their families and how they're doing in school, and what are they doing on the weekends away from school, away from the field. And so I feel like whether they're playing, whether they're not, whether in a good moment, whether in a bad moment, in the second team space, we have guys coming down, so everybody's headspace is totally different. And so for me, it's just trying to be, I guess, a friend, first and foremost, just somebody that they can confide in. And then when they're on the field, when those relationships are built, I can really push them and try and demand all the other stuff out of them. And so for me, I really pride myself on that.
Lob ball up ahead, shipped over the keeper. Oh, how about that? The ball ends up with Chandler. He controls inside the box, flips it back in, and another goal for Minnesota. And now going into year 2 as a leader of this team, how do you personally feel like you've grown, not just as an individual, but as a coach just within this year? Yeah, well, you have the final say in a lot of things like that, right? And so when you're building out a training week, a training month, the details that go into the training session, when you're traveling, what flight do you want to get on, all these different things, everything comes through you. And so really being organized, really being just open, right? Like our assistant coach have a lot of say in that, right? Like I don't like to take everything and just giving them the platform to, be able to coach and lead like that. And so making everything super collaborative, I can step back at times and kind of put myself in when I need to, but sharing the space with the other coaches and the players has made me just be me. And I admire that about you, is as soon as we told you that you were named Coach of the Month, you right away were like, it's not just me, it is a team and a collaborative effort. Ultimately for the team, what would you consider a successful season? That's a hard one in our space. For me, I always believe that winning is a part of development. And so I think with anything, if
you're going into a season, I think everybody says we want to make the playoffs, we want to win the championship. I think when you look at it like that from perspective, yeah, that's great. In our space and development, we want to help these guys get into the first team. And so when I see some of the guys like, Alex Smear play with the first team or Loic play with the first team, some of the first team guys that are returned to play, DJ Taylor getting in and Sam Shishoa, when these guys come into our space, it makes me feel good because, they're getting fitter, they're getting stronger, they're getting more confident, and, hopefully we can continue to see more guys from the second team get into the first team.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you guys this season, Coach. And we can't wait to see what else is in store for you all.
Thank you so much.
But in the meantime, y'all, this is it for this episode of Coach's Corner. Be sure to tune in to our next episode to see who I'll be talking to with next. We'll catch you guys next time. For now, I'm April Marie Aguilar. Bye.
I know I'm really attracted. I'm hanging on like a fridge to a magnet. It's a jigsaw with all the right pieces. You and me, we go good together. You and I go good together. You and I, we go good together. We go good together.
We welcome you back here at halftime in Tukwila. We will look ahead to the league's upcoming schedule in a moment, but first, on her visit to Minnesota, April Marie Aguilar had a chance to sit down and meet 22-year-old forward Logan Dorsey in this week's player profile.
Thank you again for joining me on this episode of Player Profile. I'm April Marie Aguilar, and today joining me is Logan Dorsey of Minnesota United FC2. Thanks so much for the time, Logan.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Well, just this December, you were selected by Minnesota United in the Super Draft. Then you signed with the team in March.
Yep.
Then in just your second game, you scored your first goal, followed by a brace in the next. Describe to me what these last couple of months have been like for you.
Yeah, no, it's been quite a whirlwind, no doubt. I mean, coming in, getting drafted, an unbelievable feeling, and you get a call saying, hey, you have 2 weeks to come and prove yourself, and it's like, great, let's do it. And so it was great, to get experience with the first team and to kind of get in that environment and see what it's like, and then an unbelievable feeling to sign a second team contract and kind of get that going and get that process going is awesome. And coming in and scoring a few goals is great. I'm glad to be able to help the team. So it's been fun, an experience for sure.
And what would a successful season look like for you?
For me, a successful season is our goal as a team is to win it all. We want to win the league, and I strongly believe that we have the ability to do that with the players that we have and the talent we have, coming up and down from the first team, all the switches. I think that blossomed into a really great relationship that I have with him now, more of a support role than a competitive role. But, of course, as kids, you want to be better, you want to beat him. And, I think that helped propel both of us into, taking the next step in our career. So I think it was a positive, but now that it's blossomed into a good, comforting relationship, I think it's great.
And his journey, how has that influenced your own approach to the game?
Yeah, it's, he's given me a lot of support throughout my career. I've obviously, as every career does, you have a lot of struggles and you have a lot of things and going on. And I think that his help to me has been, without words, it's been probably the greatest thing in my career so far. Having someone like him that's been through it all, that's been through what I'm going through is unbelievable. So having that support system is great. And I can't thank him enough for that.
And you mentioned struggles. How have those struggles actually led you to where you are now?
Yeah, I think, I would say the biggest thing for an aspiring pro athlete is being able to deal with struggle. And, dealing with struggle is hard for a lot of people, and it's hard for everybody. So being able to deal with that and kind of take positives and little things away from everything that you're doing, even when you're in one of those slumps, is I think that's the greatest thing you can do as an athlete.
And is there a specific moment or perhaps piece of advice that Griffin has provided you that's had a significant impact on you?
I would say the biggest thing that he's done for me is kind of just been there. He's been there, you know, through the successes and saying, hey, like, you know, maybe you don't need to get so high on this, or, you know, when you're in a low, like, hey, you know, you're good, like, you're right where you need to be. Like, I think kind of just being there constantly throughout the entire process has been great. Like, kind of keeping me balanced is one thing that he does really well, which I really appreciate.
And you're certainly lucky because you do have a brother who's a professional.
Yeah.
But with that being said, how important is it to just have that support system?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's everything. I struggle with it because I think everybody needs it, and I'm so grateful that I have it, but not everybody has it, you know? So I think, you know, it's a great advantage for me, and maybe being able to pass on some of the information that he gives to me to other players that are struggling within our team and, you know, close friends, I think is great to be able to do.
I love that. Well, best of luck to you and your team, Logan.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Player Profile. Be sure to tune in next time to see who I'll be talking to. For now, I'm April Marie. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Action.
If I got it, then I bought it. Take a bite, cause I want it. And I know I got the taste for the cake. And I take what I make and I flaunt it, flaunt it. Got diamonds on my necklace. I live how I like. So looks is getting reckless. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe.
We welcome you back to Tacoma, where at halftime it is all even between Defiance and North Texas in this six-pointer in the top six of the Western Conference. And what an eventful first half it was. It's time to get a look back at those opening 45 minutes. Largely one-way traffic here, but what matters most is the even scoreline. Tacoma off to the flying start. De Rosario in his return to the side, denied at point-blank range by Nico Montoya. And then the chances continued to mount. De Rosario at the center of everything in the opening 15 minutes, but nothing to show for it on the score sheet. And it was North Texas who opened the scoring on the counter. Sam Sarver in the 19th, putting just enough on it to take it by Jacob Castro. And suddenly, Tacoma found themselves battling from behind. Good news, though, if you're a Defiance fan, there's a man named Tsukanome, and he is on fire. The ball comes in, deletes one defender, places it perfectly in the bottom right to level the scoreline. And from there, it was pretty much chance after chance for Tacoma, but unable to find that second. It was a number of really decent crosses. This chance came in from Edson Carley, who just curled it north of the bar, and really that was the only glaring chance following Tsukunome's equalizer. You look at the numbers on your screen, they tell the full story. How about this? Tacoma, for the second consecutive match, vastly outshooting its opponent. An 8-1 shots advantage, and they're doubling them up in shots on goal. But here's the issue, not clinical enough. North Texas has taken its only chance, despite being vastly out of possession. And ultimately, they find themselves level, have themselves in front for a good 7 minutes before Tsukanome struck back. It's unfortunately for Hervé Diese fitting the mold of that Portland match where they outshot Timbers 2 25-8 and still lost. They'll be hoping to turn this around and get all 3 points here tonight. Well, there is plenty still to play for here in the greater Tacoma area in Tukwila, Washington. But before we get into the second half, how about we get a look at the upcoming schedule in MLS Next Pro. Match week 12 getting underway Wednesday. Real Monarchs hosting Tacoma's rival Timbers 2. Meanwhile, Minnesota, a team that's been resurgent this year, hosting Whitecaps 2. And then as you head further down the schedule, Tacoma hosting Minnesota next Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern. In addition, you see Houston Dynamo Dos on the road at Austin 2. A little in-state clash between those Texan foes. Should be a very exciting week in MLS Next Pro. But before we get set for Week 12, it's time to round out Week 11, and we have a thrilling Final 45 on the cards. It is a Tacoma bunch that has dominated the run of play in the opening half, but only one goal to show for it, and Hervé Diesse appears to be going to the drawing board. A number of dark kits, the gray with the black shorts getting set to enter. And the question is, who and for whom? As Defiance looks to snatch all three. First change, it will be Stuart Hawkins vacating for Leo Burney, the first-team defender. We'll get the other two when we have them for you. Another one that comes to mind, Edson Carley vacating the action. So an interesting set of changes here for the hosts. Well, for Tacoma, a chance to snap its minor skid, and we'll have to find a second in order to do so. We're back underway here in Tukwila, Washington. It is Defiance and North Texas, with all 3 points still up for grabs. We welcome you back into Starfire Stadium. Sam Goldfarb bringing you all of the action tonight. North Texas struck first, and they're looking to do so again. Sarver cuts it in, laid off, and just tucked over the bar. A glaring chance goes begging for Jaden Contreras. Well, North Texas nearly caught Tacoma napping. Sarver was looking in for Garcia, who just managed to usher it along. And for a moment, Contreras may have seen his name up in lights. We know for a fact one of those subs is Jackson Corey, who's entered the action. He replaced Edson Carley. So Corey in for Carley, Burney in for Hawkins. There was one more. We'll get it to you when we have official confirmation in the venue. Well, Jackson Corey's been in an interesting spot. And then the final change, Asase De Rosario vacates. So it was just 45 minutes of action. Georgie Manungu, who's produced a goal and 4 assists in his 4 appearances in all comps with Tacoma Defiance, comes on as a halftime substitute. So this gets interesting. On the subject of both Manungu and Corey, who we were discussing moments ago, Corey's someone who's best known for his time at South Georgia Tormenta as a wide attacking midfielder. But with Tacoma, they've been experimenting with playing him more in a central forward role. And so in many respects, he's going to move up into that lead striker role where De Rosario was. Meanwhile, Manungu will play on the left flank. He's more comfortable as a wide midfielder. It appears he's on the right, and Gomez is moved to the left. So there are your switches tactically from Tacoma. A complex set of changes to monitor.
In for them at the half, number 48, Jackson Corey.
Jackson Corey will move up front. Manungu
Number
will move out
4,
wide.
Leo Burney.
Leo Burney, meanwhile,
And
a first-teamer that signed a homegrown player contract.
Manungu.
Castro's caught out. This is hit towards goal. Yamada got a touch to it. Falls for Sangare. Leiva doing just enough to force it out of trouble, but now the concern comes to Jacob Castro, the first-teamer who is prone on the pitch at the moment. Well, you get a look here. Just tries to clear. Sangare gets there first, and he clatters his shin directly into Sangare's boot. It's a really unfortunate turn of events. Then Sangare's effort cleared away by Leiva. definitely a collective hold your breath moment amongst the Tacoma faithful. Castro seems content to continue, so a welcome sight for Defiance supporters. Now the concern comes to this corner kick. North Texas is shot out of the gates, I should say, in the second half. And that is much more routine for the 25-year-old between the sticks. Here's Manungu's first touch. Tsukanome. The turn. Pushes it wide to Sousa. Sarver makes himself an impediment and bypasses Gomez. Ramirez. Flashed wide to Contreras. Well, if you are just joining us, we welcome you back into Starfire Stadium. Sam Goldfarb bringing you all of the action from the Pacific Northwest. It is a 1-1 scoreline between Defiance and North Texas. Sam Sarver opening the scoring against the grain before Tsukanome responded midway through the first half. But since the restart, despite all of Tacoma's dominance, they've actually found themselves more on the back foot in the opening 5 of the second. And it's one back again. Long-range effort. That is cleared away to Gomez. One back by Charles. Well, this is the bout of control that John Gall would have been hoping for, and I'm sure this is what he emphasized in the halftime team talk. North Texas with no semblance, really, of substantive possession besides a couple of standout moments in that first half. You've seen them take the fight to their hosts here to begin the second 45. John Gall saying to me on the phone this week, controlling matches has been a major point of focus. In many ways, it limits the opportunities our other teams can conjure because we take the ball out of their hands. There's an adventurous ball, Torquato. Just a heavy touch, falls to just inside the area. Contreras' effort is blocked. As far as Essel, and now Sarver again. An excellent tackle from Sousa. First proper momentum swing we've witnessed in this match. And it is John Gall's side that has come out with more impetus and initiative to begin the second. Now you wonder how Tacoma will build out of this pressure, something they haven't frankly seen all evening. Manungu. Plenty of space. Manungu! That was a rocket, and one that did not miss by much. Speaking of lads that have been on fire since coming back to the second team, Georgie Manungu comes to mind. Just has Torquato stumbling and uncorks one that just narrowly flew wide of that near post. Much Montoya would have been able to do about it had it been on target. That is what Manungu brings. a native of the Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, as it is pronounced. Joined the club from the Czech top flight on loan initially in 2022. He's been under contract with the organization in the last 3 seasons for Seattle Sounders. More first-team talent as well. Ramirez. When talking to Hervé Diesse this week, he mentioned that Georgie Manungu is unaffected by, at least his demeanor on the pitch is unaffected by whether he's featuring for the first or second team. He says if he's on a football pitch and he's playing, there's always a smile on his face. He's hyping up his teammates as well. A valuable presence to the dressing room. He tries to latch onto this. It was a very inviting ball from Tsukanome that was just slightly overcooked. Manungu continuing to search forward and was not weighted properly for Corey. This is the response that I'm sure Hervé Diesse was hoping for after that early bout of adversity to begin the second. We are hearing word that Snyder Brunel is getting set to exit for Peter Kingston at the next dead ball. Tsukanome. It's a ball that did not reach its intended target. Ramirez wanted Sarver, lost his balance in the process. Leyva. A scintillating switch and right into the path of Manungu. Draws 2 defenders now. Tucking it in. Tsukanome got it first time, but couldn't keep it down. And now the change will take place. So it is a like-for-like swap. Peter Kingston will enter the action. Someone who spent the bulk of this year as a starter, a former University of Washington product. He is set to replace the captain, Snyder Brunel.
Leading the match is number 37, Snyder Brunel.
Well, Brunel, a solid shift by the 18-year-old. He's replaced by a man 5 years his senior in Kingston. He returned to his boyhood organization on March 3rd after his 5-year college career came to a close at Washington. Well, fans, this portion of the match is presented by Regions Blue Shield. Sounders FC is proud to partner with Regions Blue Shield, a health plan powering Washington's health and wellness for more than 100 years. Just shy of the hour mark here in the greater Tacoma area. It is 1-1 between Defiance and North Texas. Sousa. Manungu. Dispossessed by Contreras, and you see that industrious defending. Manungu's presence on the right flank is forcing the winger in Contreras to drop in deep and help out Torquato on that far side. It's just the gravity that someone of Manungu's pace and technique brings to the fold, completely alters the geography of a pitch. Kingston, his first touch. And it is a heavy touch from Corey. Contreras. Ramirez. A dinked ball that was read brilliantly by Bernie. Hearing word that Danny Leiva's race, his race may be run in a matter of moments. Charles Doddsey is up off the bench, and the next stoppage set to check in. Hervé DSA mentioning how his side, of course, like many Next Pro outfits, is a steward for first team lads. Primary concern is how can they help the first team. Danny Leiva, someone who made 7 MLS appearances this year, but has fallen gradually out of the consistent rotation. Needed an hour. It appears he's gotten an hour of match time. Well, that change will take place. So both of the dual pivot vacate. A loud applause for Leiva, who pulled the strings as a deep-lying playmaker throughout the bulk of that hour. And now Charles Doddsey, the 18-year-old product of the DME Academy, who signed with Tacoma on April 1st, makes just his 4th appearance of his professional career. The Academy, of course, located in the United States. Doddsey born and raised in his native Ghana. This is laid off. Torquato was menacing, but curled well outside the radius of Castro's concern. It's quick interplay. You see Garcia usher it wide. And this time it's an underlap. Torquato just running onto that ball from Contreras. And here is Garcia. Looking forward to Sangare. Still Sangare. Lays it off to Sarver. Cleared off the line. North Texas, somewhat surprisingly looking the more threatening of the two sides in this second half. It is really on the brink of opening up here in Tukwila. Corey chasing this, and he is offside. Inside the final half hour here from Starfire. And what a match this is shaping up to be. A goal apiece, but here in the second half, both teams threatening menacingly when they surge forward. Sangare deletes one defender, flicked along by Ramirez. Sarver was not able to get on his horse in time. And only as far as Ian Charles, the Academy product. You wonder what John Gall must have expressed during the halftime team talk to inspire this response within his side. Team that bossed proceedings last week in the Texas Derby, but doing so against Tacoma for large spells, especially at Starfire, is a totally different beast. And here in the nearly 20 minutes since the restart, there is a strong argument to be made that North Texas has been the more dynamic of the two outfits. And when you compare that to what transpired in the first, it's relatively remarkable. Garcia, he was the hero in the Texas Derby last week. lost in the shuffle of all of North Texas's romp through the West and their triumph in the end with their first ever Next Pro Cup title in 2024 was much of the turnover that transpired. John Gall, of course, opened the year as the head man, was signed officially as the full-time head coach last year. But what gets interesting is, due to first-team changes, he was actually promoted to an interim assistant role with FC Dallas on June 11th. So for pretty much the final 5 months of the year, Michel Garbini was the head coach of North Texas SC. And he finished what John Gall started in many respects. Guided them to a first-place finish out west, 6 points clear of the next closest contender. And then led them to their first ever Next Pro Championship. John Gall returning with a 2-year extension this past winter. And when talking to him, he says, I will do whatever role the club asks me to do. And given the first team changes in the offseason, he figured that he would be back with the second team, and he says that's totally fine. He enjoys working with young players and developing them. He has a degree of familiarity just due to the fact that he's been with the club in some capacity since 2015. Seen many of these lads grow up and now playing a crucial role in their professional development. He's very high on both the effort, work rate, attitudes, and potential of his players. Manungu. Cross rolls all the way through to Sarver. Garcia in a more advanced role here in the second half. Contreras, 17 years of age. He's made an impression in Scottsdale. Well, a friendly reminder, if this does end level, which there's still plenty left to sort out before we reach that point, there would be a penalty shootout in line to determine who secures an additional point in the standings. And while neither side would get their ultimate goal, it could really go a long way. When you look at how close the West was last year, especially toward the playoff line, it was rather remarkable. Houston, the 8th seed, got in on goal differential. So it speaks to how even things have been. Well, fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by the Western Washington Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Essel blasting it ahead. Route 1 now, and Contreras was offside. It was Torquato ultimately on the receiving end. When you look at the implications of a result tonight, right now North Texas, with 2 points, would match St. Louis City 2 for second in the Western Conference. Right now they sit third at 18 points, and they've been assisted by Colorado getting throttled at the moment. Tacoma, meanwhile, it would require 2 points to move in a 3-way tie for 4th place in the West as things stand. 3 points would take Tacoma into the top 3. Meanwhile, it would take North Texas level on points with Ventura County atop the Western Conference. So major implications that fold for the remaining 20 minutes and change. We still have yet to see North Texas's first change of the day. Yamada. Sousa. First time ball. It does reach Gomez. Gomez can thread it through to Corey. Sousa again. Plenty of space. Ran into a thicket of white kids. Snatched back by Yamada. Sousa. A lot of good has come off his boots. That's a promising ball. And that just evades the path of Sebastian Gomez. Kingston, native of Washington. Inviting ball, Alvaro first to it, and relatively confidently collected by Montoya. I tell you what, he does not look 18 years of age, playing well beyond his years tonight. And considering it's just his second league start, it's even that much more impressive. Has been on the fringes of the second team for quite some time, but this is his first proper run in the squad. Corey. Gomez gives chase. Kingston. Snatched away by Charles. Looking over the top for Sangare. Still hunting that first goal in a North Texas kid. He's unable to outwit his defender. Leo Burney tracked him step for step. Is not falling for the nifty nutmeg. Still awaiting Fasu Sangare to get uncorked, but there's plenty of pedigree to his name. Spent time in the Wolves Academy, one of the prominent developmental systems in England. Most recently played with Buxton FC. In the 6th tier of English football, the National League North, for those curious. That's one tier below where AFC Wrexham played for casual football fans of the English game. I should say Wrexham AFC. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Umpqua Bank, the official banking partner of Seattle Sounders FC. Inside the final 20 minutes, Sam Goldfarb here at Starfire Stadium in Tukwila, Washington. Still 1-1. North Texas jumped out to the early advantage through Sam Sarver. Tsukanome fired back 7 minutes later. And in the second half, the two teams playing to a stalemate despite a number of promising opportunities both ways. Sets the stage for what should be an enthralling and potentially standings defining closing stages of this match. Torquato, and now Sangare forced wide. Sangare, it's in! North Texas back in front, and it's Fasu Sangare's first goal for his new club. Well, what a time for your first tally. The 22-year-old negotiating through traffic, rockets it at the near post, underneath the diving Castro to make it 2-1. And once again, North Texas stunning the home faithful. Sangare, the native of Liberia, who spent the bulk of his youth career and early professional days in England, but he struggled to establish himself in the English football ranks. Bounced around a number of non-league clubs, made just 6 appearances for Buxton before ultimately making the move abroad. What a moment for him in his third start with North Texas, opening his account at a crucial juncture. North Texas 2, Tacoma 1. And now the hosts forced to chase yet again with the bulk of their firepower substituted. With the way the second half has been played, it's been a far more even affair. Can't argue it's undeserved at this stage. Now Contreras rolls it into Doddsey, only as far as Cisse, the Penn State product. Well, we're inside the final 15 minutes. North Texas away from home, snatching a stunning would-be winner. Just 16 minutes from full time. Sarver. Now Tacoma is very stretched. Sarver brought down, an immediate point to the spot. No hesitation from Justin St. Pierre. And the visitors with a chance to polish it off from 12 yards. Well, you hear the displeasure. But upon first viewing, it did appear to be a questionable tackle. Has Doddsey on his hip here. I tell you what, actually, that may be quite harsh. It is a coming together, yes, but Sarver goes down at very little contact. Either way, he has a chance to double the lead and add a third brace of his professional career here. Someone who has made all 3 of his penalty kick attempts this season, including one last week to open the scoring in the Texas Derby. It is Sarver against Castro with a chance to push Tacoma to the brink. Will it be Sarver's night? Yes, it is. Drilling it confidently, and Tacoma in a very deep hole now. A brace for Sarver, and this is a confidently taken penalty. It's within Castro's reach, but he dives late, and Sam Sarver adds a third brace of his young career.
North Texas Soccer Club goal by number 11.
2 goals in 3 minutes for North Texas, and it is a very steep hill now for the hosts. Well, what a night for Sam Sarver. His goals have come in waves. But he has delivered with his 2 moments tonight, the difference maker in tonight's clash. Caution to the wind now for Defiance. Sousa. Kingston. It is a Tacoma side that has been so good at home this year. They have been stunned in the second half this evening. Sousa wins a corner. Taken short. Sousa. Flashing the cross into Gomez. Back for Sousa. Charged away. It is a Tacoma side that has been defeated just once in all competitions here in 2025. They are unbeaten at Starfire in league play. Long throw, Yamada! What a strike! Well, there's some life for Tacoma. And what an infusion from Kaito Yamada. Game on once again. A long throw And at first time hit, Kaito Yamada, take a bow, son. A first professional goal for the 18-year-old who joined from Vissel Kobe in Japan this offseason. And just like that, there is renewed hope for Defiance. Well, this may be a very long 10 minutes now for North Texas, a side that moments ago felt they would cruise to victory. Kaito Yamada ensuring that it will be a long and arduous way forward. Contreras. Sometimes it just takes a moment of individual brilliance to change the trajectory of a match. And now you wonder what the response will be from the visitors. Sangare. Well, if you're just joining us, a match that promised to be a thriller has certainly delivered to this point. 1-1 at halftime, Tacoma falling behind 3-1. 2 goals in 3 minutes by Fasu Sangare and Sam Sarver to cap his brace. But moments ago, Kaito Yamada providing an infusion of hope with a wonder strike in the 79th. A first-time howitzer to make it 3-2. We are well inside the final 10 minutes. And the question is, does Tacoma have one more push in its arsenal? Tsukanome looks forward. He is the creative mastermind at this point with De Rosario off the pitch. With a team like Tacoma, who entered the evening second in MLS Next Pro in goals, you can never afford to take a rest. And by the end of the night, there's a good chance they will top the league in goals once again. Manungu nearly took it back. Now Sangare trying to latch onto this. Kingston loses out, and he is booked for the handball after the fact. Well, North Texas has weathered the immediate aftermath of that wonder strike well. Taking the pressure out of the match. Most of the action actually concentrated in Tacoma's half.
Referee issued yellow card.
Storm will come.
Player number 45, Peter Kingston.
Kingston here trying to draw a foul. He's just unable to outwit Contreras, and at the end of this, puts his hand on the ball. It is a textbook yellow card, and it's not one he disputes. And now a free kick for Sam Sarver. Diego Garcia also in the immediate vicinity for the visitors. Fourth would all but seal it. Sarver dinking it. Alvaro flicks it along, and it's in! But the flag may have been raised, and yes, it was. Tacoma handed yet another lifeline. For a moment, Alvaro had seemingly polished it off. Well, changes being made. North Texas, for the first time tonight, making alterations. Two changes. Daniel Barron is in, as is Alejandro Urzua. Excuse me, as is Caleb Swan, not Urzua. Contreras and Ramirez out.
Caleb Swan. And number 36, Daniel Barran.
Two changes in the attacking midfield trio. Low cross. Tsukanome first to it. Daniel Barron replacing Contreras. Caleb Swan replacing Anthony Ramirez. Those are your two changes, the first two of the night for North Texas, as they look for fresh legs in an attempt to see this out. Gomez, overlapping run. Decent ball towards Manungu. Every cross in will be met with so much noise and support from the fans. Kingston now, too tight on Montoya. Now Sangare, and he's offside. Caleb Swan, 18 years of age, another academy player that signed his first pro contract with the second team in December. Someone who was a prominent member of FC Dallas's youth system before signing his first pro deal. You know, Daniel Barron, more of a dynamic winger, native of Chicago, who spent ample time in the Chicago Fire Academy back in the day. He's made his way to FC Dallas eventually, and he's been a key presence off the bench. Here's Tsukanome. Cross does not reach Corey. Inside the final 5 minutes now from Tukwila. Gomez running it through to Corey. Referee says play on. Manungu giving chase, and it is the heavy touch which takes it mercifully back to Montoya. Well, you hear the home field advantage on full display here at Starfire. They pack the place. It is a turf pitch, which makes it very difficult to play for visitors, and you saw some of those effects in the first half for North Texas. And now with Tacoma desperate for a goal, every sojourn forward is greeted with a roar. And now a straight red shown to Fasu Sangare. On a night where he provides his first professional goal, he is giving his marching orders prematurely. And North Texas will be forced to see this out down to 10 for the remainder of the night. It is a late tackle, certainly a reckless one, and there was no hesitation from our lead official in Justin St. Pierre. Well, the first line of defense for North Texas has been unceremoniously sent off. All of the signs point the momentum lever staunchly in Tacoma's direction. The question is, can they provide that equalizing moment? It would be a remarkable comeback for a side that trailed 3-1 with just 13 to play. Tsukanome. Kingston. Sousa. Manungu. Always a danger. weaving a web of lies. Falls for Kingston again. Gaffney with space to cross. High arcing ball. Falls again. Gomez finally raced away. This will be a never-ending onslaught. There will be a lot of interested eyes at the fourth official's board in a matter of seconds. Hearing word that the number might not be as large as Tacoma fans would have hoped. Three minutes separate us from full time.
Minimum of 3 minutes of added time. 3 minutes.
If Tacoma is to procure an equalizer, it will have to come very quickly. Dodzi. Manungu. Sousa. Has space. No cross. Is there one final magical moment in Defiance? Gaffney. Underwhelming ball in. And that North Texas can't properly clear. Laid off. Decent cross towards Tsukanome. And goes out for a Tacoma corner. A collective roar from the Defiance faithful. Taken short. Kingston brought down. Referee waves away any appeals. And Sarver with a chance to run out of danger. Chance on the break now for North Texas. Sarver. Stood up by Dodzi. Tsukanome. Manungu. Time for one or two more sojourns forward for Defiance. Gomez. Plays it behind Gaffney. Texas can play out. Barron. Plenty of space. Barron! Whistling wide. Tacoma still with hope. Just 20 seconds remain of the added 3 minutes. This is Tacoma's final chance. Gaffney wrestling with Garcia. And the whistle sounds against Defiance. And was that their final moment to make a difference? Yes, it was. Tacoma with a resilient effort, but it comes up a goal short tonight. They fall in 3-2 fashion in what was a 5-goal thriller here at Starfire. A team that provided hope via Kaito Yamada's wonder strike to make it 3-2, but they cannot find the punishing moment in the end. And North Texas leaves here tonight with a 3-2 victory to move level in points atop the Western Conference table. It is now time for our man of the match, and it is none other than the brace provider and the captain, Sam Sarver, who opened the scoring and then added the decisive third goal. This was the first, a counter-attacking masterclass in the 19th minute. It kick-started what was yet another terrific night for the 23-year-old rookie. He is our man of the match. The penalty in the 77th minute was the final blow, which allowed North Texas to see out an eventual 3-2 triumph. Well, what a 90 minutes that was. And for North Texas, a rewarding one at that. A 4th consecutive win to move level atop the Western Conference on points with 21. Meanwhile, a heartbreaking 4th consecutive defeat in all comps for Tacoma. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm Sam Goldfarb. Once again, our final score is North Texas 3, Tacoma 2. Don't forget you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone.
Have a great night and drive home safely.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.